This is the February 14th meeting, Valentine's Day, and happy Valentine's. February 14th meeting of the Grosse Ile Township Public Services Commission. Call the meeting to order and Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Call the roll. Riley?
Present.
Kennedy?
Here.
Schmidtke?
Present.
Pedestris?
Present.
Budney?
Present.
And Mr. Wilder is not here. Ted Van Oz is not here. Mr. Wilder has been very sick over the last several years. Before we move on with tonight's meeting, I would like to just acknowledge that today Ron Wilder, a DPS commissioner, was laid to rest. Ron is an active member of our commission and loved our Grosse Ile community. He was our colleague and a loyal friend to all who knew him. Ron will be sorely missed by all, and we offer our deepest sympathy to his family. I wish to thank Ron for his service over the past several years. And I think it would be appropriate if anybody wants to comment, but before we do, I would like to ask for a moment of silence in honor of Ron Wilder. Thank you. And I don't know if anybody would like to make a comment, or we should just move on.
Well, I just would like to say that Ron was just the greatest guy you could meet. He epitomized being a gentleman, and he, besides working hard on this commission, always treated everybody with respect, and he will be sorely missed.
This end? We'll move on. We want to thank Ron's family for allowing him to spend many nights with us here, and thank you, Ron, for being a good friend. Okay, with that, we're going to consider approval of our agenda tonight. Can I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Support?
Support.
Moved and supported that the agenda be approved as distributed. Any discussion? If not, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The agenda is approved. We now also have the minutes of our December 13th meeting in front of you, and you've all had a chance to look at them. Questions or comments? If not, can I have a motion to approve?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes of December 13th, 2016.
Support?
Support.
Moved and supported that the minutes of December 13th be approved. Hearing no discussion or questions, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes are approved. Next, we have approval of the vouchers found on pages 7 through 11. Anybody have any questions? May I have a motion to approve?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the bills of vouchers 13,570 through 13,576.
Is there support?
I'll support it.
Supported that the vouchers be approved as distributed. Hearing no questions, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Vouchers are approved. Next, we have statements of revenues and expenditures. And this does not require a motion to approve, we will accept them unless there's any questions. Are there any questions?
Mr. Chair, just give me a moment here. On page 14, the equipment purchase, I just wondered what that was. Near the bottom, like fourth from the bottom, $18,000 some equipment purchase.
I think that was the pickup truck that we bought this year.
Yeah, that was that pickup truck. Yeah.
And I think what happened on that, Jim, we ordered the pickup truck last year and we paid for it. We received it after April 1st. So that $18,000 will show up both in the water and sewer. It was 36.
Okay. I figured it was something there. I just couldn't remember it. Thank you.
Yeah, and the other thing I would just comment on page 13 near the top, if you look at the water revenues, we're really 5/6 of the year through the 12 months, or we're through the first 10 months for our recording purposes, and we are already at 92% of our revenue, and I think that's based on the fact we had a dry summer, people used a lot of water, so water sales have been a little bit on the high side, so that's a reflection of that. Are any other comments or questions? Hearing none, we'll accept the statements. Next, look at our treasurer's report. You have the treasurer's report for January. Shows that we have a balance in all the DPS funds of $3,769,000. That's all of our funds, water, sewer, refuse, and so forth. Any comments?
Yes, Mr. Chair. I just have a question on actually on the road improvement fund.
Okay.
I understand the $500,000 due from Wayne County, and then we have in parentheses due to DPW. What is that? That's the same 500, isn't it, or is it? Okay. So it's just to offset it, so we don't have. Looks like we're receiving $1 million.
And I think what we had to do, Jim, is borrow the money from either the water or sewer fund temporarily until we could get reimbursed for that expenditure.
Yeah. So
That's just an in and out.
it's the 500 from Wayne County will replace the 500 we
Yeah,
owe.
so that just shows an in and out across those journals.
Yep. Just wanted to make sure.
Question. All right, so can I have a motion to approve the treasurer's report?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the treasurer's report of January 2017.
Support. This end of the table is...
I'll support it.
Okay, Les Schmidtke supported it. Are there any questions? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Treasurer's report's accepted. So we've moved through those items. Oh, so most importantly, there's no public comment tonight, no public in the audience. Frankly, we wish that some public would come to our meetings, and hopefully they will. I've had a number of comments in the past month about condition of the potholes in the roads. Beyond that, first item is election of chairman and vice chair and secretary. So we're open to nominations.
I would like to nominate Bill Kostick as chair of the DPS Commission for the 2016-17 year. Support. Or is it the 2017-18 year? I'm sorry. We're in the 16-17.
Supported that?
I did.
Is there discussion? Are there other nominations? None.
Make a motion that nominations be closed.
Do we want to do all three and then?
I think you could.
Yeah, let's. I would like to make a motion, or I'd like to nominate Phil Kennedy as vice chair.
Support.
Yeah, Phil, is that okay with you?
Vice chair.
Are there any other nominations? Hearing none, we have a nomination for Mr. Kennedy. Next, we need to nominate a secretary.
Well, I'll go again. I would like to nominate Mr. Schmidtke as secretary.
I'll support that.
Are there other nominations? Hearing none, should we move the nominations be closed?
So moved.
Support.
I think I heard the train.
I need to support, please.
So it's been, the nominations in place are William Kostick for chairman, Phil Kennedy for vice chair, Les Schmidtke for secretary. Is there any further discussion or nominations? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion's carried. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it, all of you.
I'd like to thank you three gentlemen for stepping up to the plate and taking on those positions.
Good luck, Phil, and John, thank you for having been the vice chair over the last several years. Okay, moving along, Lorinda, dust control contract extension.
Right. I got a hold of Delbert last December, I think it was. I asked him about the upcoming year, if they could still extend their contract prices from 2012. They said, yep, there wouldn't be a problem for the next season, so they sent us a letter, and I'm bringing it to you guys.
Every year, we've accepted their extension of prices since this was bid last. We get good service from them. So, and wanting to go out and rebid this issue, right?
Yeah, we use that dust bond, so.
Yeah. I just have a comment. I have no problem using, going with them. We have had good service with them and everything. The only thing I would like to say is for next year, I would like us to go out and get some other prices, only because, as you know, over the last few years, petroleum-based products have gone down. So holding the price, could, and I have no problem with them making a profit, but I think since they have gone down and are, continuing to stay down, we should probably take a look. And it's time. We've used them for a long time without looking, and they've given us very good service. We always get, real good comments from people that live on the roads. Although we have heard comments from people whose cars have gotten.
Just my daughter's.
Happened?
She followed the truck down the road, and that stuff was in 3 inches thick. So it was a couple of weekends to get it cleaned up. My only thing is there a guideline or a chemical to help get the stuff off as opposed to typical elbow grease?
Isn't it mineral spirits that'll take
Is that
that
what it
off?
is? I was trying to wax
Is it mineral spirit? Let Delbert get, okay.
Yeah.
I'll ask
Well,
Delbert.
find
I'll
out.
find
But
out.
Yeah, just if there's something to take in these, it's not just her. I'm sure lots of others had happen. And I have a question. Is Dust Bond exclusive to this company? Is that their brand? Or are there other Dust Bond
No,
distributors
I
throughout the
think this
nation?
is this formula is exclusive to
them.
them. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
Nomenclature might not be.
yeah.
Who?
The name.
No, not the name. Yeah, right. Just the formula.
the formula, so they're the chemical manufacturer and,
This is I don't know if they manufacture it there, but this is their product because I think we tried to go out for calcium chloride as well, and they said the commission decided no, this is more
No, understood.
environmentally friendly. We're going to stick with the dust bond. This is the company that's been providing it all these years.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Oh, Penicil was the other one that they used to go out for.
yeah, it's just new guy questions, that's all.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay, new guy.
There was a few complaints last year. I don't know if they changed their formula or not, but some of it didn't hold up.
I wonder if they didn't lay it as thick.
I don't know what the reason was. Seemed like it broke down a lot faster than what it used to. I don't know if they lightened up on whatever they mix it with. I don't know.
Oh.
We might just ask them about that.
They put down about 1,000 gallons less than the year before.
Okay, well,
But-
it seems like we're in a dilemma anyway at this point. I mean, it's February. By the time you rebid it, we might be behind the 8 ball with other companies. So,
Next year, we'll.
Yeah, that's why
rebid it.
I said next
Early.
year.
Yeah.
Next year it
so-
should
Do
be
it
done. Yeah.
in December,
Yeah.
bid it.
So what I think you need to do is make a note to yourself, remind yourself that you get your specs done in December and bid it by this meeting, so we have no later than this meeting. Okay. With that, any further discussion? Not all, we don't have a motion yet.
Okay, you want me to make the motion?
Well, does anybody else
Why
want to make a
not?
motion?
I'll make the motion
Oh,
I'll support.
okay.
to approve the contract extension of D&D Emulsion Incorporated.
Support.
It's been moved and supported that we do extend the contract for D&D Emulsions for dust control services at 58 cents a gallon applied. Is there any further discussion? If not, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Next item on the agenda is the sanitary sewer cleaning and televising. Lorinda?
Okay, you have a map in front of you that shows the segments. The township will be divided up into 5 segments. So we went out for bids, and we received 6. The low bidder was Greenscape, and they were quite a bit lower than the next person.
It's all on page 24 of the packet.
Page 24. So I met with a couple of the guys from their company. The owner was actually out of town, and he's not back yet. So before Rains will send us a letter qualifying them as the low bidder, they indicated that they wanted to check their references and also check some videos of the work that they do before they give the go-ahead.
So should this actually be an action item?
Nah, it's up to you guys if you want it as an action item. I feel better holding off. Until I have approval from Rains.
I had a note to move this to a discussion item, and I couldn't figure out why I did it, and that's
But if you remember,
exactly why.
we wanted a budget number to work with.
Yeah.
So
I mean, interestingly, with all the people that bid on this, the prices were kind of all over the board here. So, and I have no problem with them, but it's just premature to have it as an action item, I think, until we know for sure. That,
right, because part of the ACO, we're required to do sanitary sewer cleaning and televising. And we do what we can with the equipment that we have, but we don't have a camera to go down it. So we do a little bit of cleaning each year on our own. But in order to meet the guidelines in the ACO, we're required to go out and do this. And this is never going to end. It's going to be a 5-year program. So when you're done with Section 5, you're going to go right back to number 1. So this is something that...
Which probably is the right way to handle it. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. I know Barry pushed for it for a long time.
This is informational, unless you decide you want to do anything further.
I believe we should table this item at this point.
Well, yes, and are there any comments at this point? I got to make a comment here. Let me make a comment first.
Okay.
Because I met with the engineers yesterday on this, Lorinda and I did. If you recall, when we first got into this, before we went to Canton Township and looked at their operation, you're right. Barry's been, when he was alive, our prior DPS director, he pushed for this for years. In fact, they did some work 15 years ago, similar to this. We know that it's going to be a big expenditure. What we wanted to do is get bids in by this date because we're going to work on budget. And we wanted to make sure that last year we budgeted $150,000. The prior year we did, but we didn't spend it.
Okay.
And so what this tells me, number one, if we're looking at a 5-year program and we're close, let's assume the low bidder may not qualify. I mean, we don't know. It's still over a 5-year period would be $750,000. We did get a bid for less than that, if you remember, for a company that then merged with another company, and so we didn't proceed. So that's one issue. So we really want a budget figure. In my mind, looking at this, I think we're looking at probably needing to budget for rounding off here, $200,000 a year for this program. And then the other issue is there was some discussion about, instead of contracting, looking at what other communities are doing and looking at if we could have another community like Trenton help us, if that would work. I'm not sure it would. We haven't been over to Trenton. They have some equipment. They do some of their own. Or maybe buying our own equipment, having some part-time staff, but I'm not sure that'll work. Or maybe buying used equipment, and I'm not sure that'll work. So we don't have any rush here. When I talked to Sohail and looking at this map, and then there's the whole issue of the ACO, which is the state's consent agreement regarding our wastewater plant and our discharges into the river and our sewer collection system. What I got from Sohail yesterday, I guess there's been a recent draft of the administrative consent order, a draft that just came out, and it has several pages devoted to this whole question of asset management. And part of the asset management is to go and investigate your sewers, your lateral lines, your
Right.
interceptors, and so forth. So Hal and I decided, since this is a big money issue and a complex issue, we felt that this was nothing that we could really deal with for 20 minutes here, a half hour here. We thought maybe in a month or two, once he investigates the bids and the administrative consent order moves along a little further, that we would have a special meeting of the commission. And I'm going to guess a couple hours anyway. So Hal would come in as the engineers, and we would logically put everything together and see how it fits, see how it ties together. Because we would only be making a commitment for 1 year at a time, I think. I haven't seen the detailed, Lorinda, I haven't seen the detailed RFP, but I think we're only committing ourselves to 1 year at a time, right?
Right.
Or we would commit.
Don't you want to do that?
Or we would commit
Do
to,
that?
I would commit to the whole 5 years maybe, with the idea that we can terminate at the end of any 1 year.
Any given year.
Then you got notice and bids and.
I don't understand, John.
I think a termination. That it's gonna stay put.
Yeah, okay. Well,
The guys that do the bid for year two, if they did the job in year one, they'll have a better handle on the bid actual cost than anybody else will, probably. But I don't think you want to lock people in like that, because once you give them a guarantee, then we're not going to get a discount for it. And if we're not getting a discount, why do we give them a 5-year deal?
well, I agree with you, and I don't think that was ever our intent.
Okay.
They bid on it on a 5-year basis, based on quantities. So many linear feet of 8-inch sewer, so many linear feet of 12-inch, and so forth. This map that we have in front of us shows the segments, and
Within
all the
that,
sewer
yeah.
segments have been measured, and that was what they bid on. And I don't think there's anything magical about, once they get into the sewer, I mean, the sewer's a sewer. And
Well, the distance will be the same, no matter who's.
exactly, right.
So all of that stuff is the same.
Right.
So you can still hold it to like 1-year commitments
Yeah, that's,
with not an auto renewal, but we should really take a look at it. It's a lot of money. You're gonna be
oh, John, I agree.
$750,000. And it's forced on us too. That's the other thing. You know, whether
and that's-
there's some prudency or not, it's really forced on us to the point where when you say ouch, and we kind of talked about that a couple times already, when do we say ouch with the gurus someplace explaining to us this is really a good plan? Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. And you get a major problem in one of your lines, you're probably going to want to go there next if it's not in the segment that you're investigating this current year.
Sure.
That it blows. So there's a lot of potential variance. And
Well-
it looks like every time we've dealt with these significantly,
Talk into your mic.
okay, it looks like every time we've dealt with these significant, heavy, burdensome requests, that it's really caused us some difficulty. And the best one I can think of is the $38 million SSES, when that plan looks great. And then after the bathtub is built, it's, oops, maybe it needs to be better. So we're not trying to build a spaceship to go to Mars either. And a
Okay,
concrete one wouldn't make it anyways.
well, everything you said is fine, John, and correct. The requirement to investigate the sewers and to have an asset management plan is in the ACO, but it also comes from the EPA through the national permit that we're issued to discharge into the river. So the NPDES permit issued by the federal government to discharge into the river, public river, is what requires this, and it's also then included, some by reference and some spelled out. And I got all the documents the other day to look at, and that's what we want to go over. So there's two big issues. There's the sewer investigation, sewer televising and cleaning. That's one issue. And the other one is the so-called asset management, where we would have to go into the wastewater treatment plant and do an asset analysis of all the pumps, the structures, the equipment, and as we've been replacing about $500,000 a year of that, but we'd have to go in and assess the life expectancy of all of the equipment and come up with a capital plan. Now, we already have a capital plan. I think one of the issues I would be concerned about is that we have to be careful of what we're getting into here, because you could come up with a plan that would far outreach any of the money we've saved. We've got about $3 million saved for wastewater treatment plant improvements in case of any big emergency with it. And every year we put about $105,000 away into that fund. So what we thought it was time, since we're going to be making a crucial decision, is to have a study session so we could all get up to date and put it together logically. Mm-hmm. What is this requirement? What is this requirement? How can we fulfill it? Simple enough with that explanation? Les, you wanted to speak.
Well, I got a question is, what company was the one that was doing it in Gibraltar?
They went out of business.
They went on Terra somebody.
Yes.
Terra Contracting?
I was going to bring that with me, but I didn't. Remember, we had about a dozen sheets with the outline of what they were going to do? It was Terra something.
Okay, the other thing is, at our December meeting, I said that I will get a ballpark figure on a sewer cleaning machine and television hookup. Now, I talked to a company and I walked out the door and left my notes and the book sitting on the table. But the price the guy gave me was $250,000 for the truck and about $20,000 for the extra reel and the TV capabilities of TV in the sewer. Now, the people that I was looking for, I didn't see them at the Joint Expo on Tuesday. Now, John, he went on Wednesday, and he ran into a representative from Jack Duhaney. Now, John got a completely different price. So I don't think we're talking about apples and oranges here. I think we're talking about two different things.
Well, that's one of the things we got to look at and study, I guess. So, Les, let me ask you a question. And John, we know that Duhaney's a supplier. You didn't talk to Duhaney then?
I didn't talk to Duhaney. I talked to this other company that has the same identical truck that Duhaney has.
Right. Would it be reasonable to ask? We're talking about a study session, not next month, probably a couple months from now. Reasonable to ask you and John to work together to go to Duhaney, go to another supplier?
Let's go.
One of the suppliers would be more than happy to come and make.
Well, before we go through that, we should get some pricing, I think.
Know which way we want to go on that.
And we should get some pricing not only on the capital outlay that would be required initially, but what kind of terms they would allow us to undertake to spread the cost. I know that a lot of these firms will allow you to spread the cost of purchase with a little bit of interest, but over a 5-year period. Right?
Yeah, and they also give you a municipal lease if you want it. At least that's how Jack Duhaney did it.
Lease purchase?
Yeah, but now when we got our sewer truck, we just purchased that truck outright.
Okay, so there's all these balls up in the air. I think to do our due diligence, we need to study all the alternatives. Purchasing with the equipment is one thing. And if we did own it, how would we? Nothing you do year round. You can't have the operator in charge would have to be somebody trained and certified.
Right.
To do this work. Remember the certification requirements that were in Canton, so you're not going to be talking about a $12 an hour person. Need a couple of laborers working the manholes plus the person in charge.
Right.
Yeah, all this has to be looked at and studied. I mean, and that's the key. There's a lot of moving parts here. So
I guess the point is, this was not meant to be an action item tonight, a discussion item. And the final thing I want to say, so I think to table the issue is the right matter. We weren't going to ask you to approve the bids anyway because there's been no investigation of the low bidder. When I looked at this, I thought, here's one issue we're going to talk about tonight when we get to this. When we budgeted $150,000 this past year and the year before, we ran into some sewer repairs that were needed for some short segments of sewer. Well, I don't want to say Brenda, but our DPS director charged those expenses for those against that $150,000 to the extent of about $38,000 this year. So the question is if we're going to do this, we're going to have to set up money that's just for this, not for other repairs. So when we come back to it, I'm going to suggest maybe we cut that 150 line item or make it 200,000 and then create another line item that would allow us to have 50,000 for maintenance. And I think we can do it without raising the sewer rates. I think I've talked to Ann about it and talk about that. You understand my illogical discussion here?
No, it's logical.
All right, so anyway, we'll come back to it. But as far as this is, let's just have a motion for the record to table the matter on the sanitary sewer cleaning and televising bids.
So moved.
Seconded.
Been moved and supported that we table the matter of item 3 under action item sanitary sewer cleaning and televising bids. As was reported, we have 6 bids for over a 5-year period, ranging from $806,000 to a high of $1,465,000. A lot of study has to be done here, and so if there's no other comments, all in favor of the motion to table, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? The motion passed. So we're through that item. And I would guess we're talking about sometime in early April, maybe even before our April meeting. That might work. Maybe a couple hours before our April meeting. Everybody's got that on their calendar anyway. Phil?
Just one comment. Are we going to go ahead and proceed with the qualification of the low bidder in the meantime? Yes. That's going to go. That'll be ongoing. Okay. Thank you.
Good question. Okay, the next item is to walk through the budgets. And we have our finance director, Ann Tarzniak, here. And Ann, we need to walk through it because I have to tell you that based on the calculations on the first page regarding water and sewer, you need to walk us through that. And I think we need a lot of clarification on the letter from the Great Lakes Water Authority. I tried to tie the two together and I was dumbfounded and not being able to do it. So anyway, what my proposal is, we walk through the water and sewer first, the rate issues. Probably come back to it, but then you can lead us through a discussion of the line items and the individual budgets.
Okay.
The floor is yours and Lorinda's.
All right. Thank you for having me here. Again, the budget is a working planning document. By no means is it perfect. A lot of the budget is a joint effort between me and Lorinda. We've been working with it for so long. The things that would be helpful, I know we've given you a lot of information, but a lot of information in what we put in a budget is based on history. I mean, if it's going to be 10,000, it's going to be 10,000. We can make it 2,000, that line item, but if you look at the past several years, it's going to be 10,000. And so this is more like a planning document. And if you look at pages, especially Larry, the new guy, right? Is your name
Lenny.
Lenny. Okay, I want to say Larry, the new guy.
Larry,
We're going to call you Lenny. If you look at like pages 52 through 56, those are histories, like the last 3 years, where we budgeted last year, where we are today. So those become very helpful, and you can say, okay, if you look over the period. It's just a history of where some of the line items are coming from. I mean, obviously, we're not going to look at every line item, but we'll go through that. But if you have any questions, you can always call I or Lorinda, and we'll help you through that. So if we'll go to page 31, our big, what drives this budget is not taxes, but usage, water usage. It's all based on water usage and our rates from Detroit. That drives the budget as far as maintenance and as well as bond payments and stuff, and we'll get into that later in staffing. But one of the issues is always how much consumption that has been happening. And if you look at my usage over the last, since 2010, in the last couple of years, 2014, 15, 16, you can see they range from 268 to 278. Last year we budgeted 265, and it actually came in at 278. But again, last year was a very warm, hot, dry summer. So we never know. So what do? Is I take the last 3 years and I average it out. So for the coming up budget, I use the 270.
Okay.
And that's, if you go down the next thing that says water revenue, our current rate is $10.50 per 1,000 gallons. So that derives about $2.8 million. And I'm going to leave it at that right now. So we're going to go to page 33. So this is basically all the revenue we get for the water side. So we get service.
Can I interrupt you before you
Yep.
go on? This
Yep.
is for my sake as well as Lenny's as
Yep.
a newcomer. But the line, Lenny, that says total line, that is proposed budget for
Correct.
17-18.
Yep.
Okay.
The one straight down is proposed budget. So then you got the proposed budget, what it was last year, and any differences
Okay.
as far as budget, not actual. That's budget to budget. So our basically our service charges stays the same based on the meter. That doesn't change very much from year to year. If you look from year to year all the way through, you're about, it stays right on because there's only so many meters and the size of the meter. And then if we go down to metered sales, that is where you put the number. Is our current rate is 10.5 per thousand, $10.50 per thousand. That gives you that 2.835. So based on last year's budget, it went up a little bit, but we said we're going to estimate a little bit higher due to usage. Prior year resources, right now for the current budget being projected is about 94,000 instead of, and we'll discuss that later, 94,147 would be, instead of last year we budgeted 239. And prior year resources means we're going into our cash balance. We're using cash to make this
Okay.
balance.
Okay.
So this budget looks a little better than last year's at the 94,000 on page 33. So if we go to 34, same thing happens. You get, now this is the sewer side. So you get money collected for sewer. Our rate is $3.60 per thousand. And that gives you 972,000. Everyone still following me? Prior year resources with this budget, as is, we're going to go into it by 298,318. So it's a little bit better again than last year's, as going into fund balance or going into our cash balance.
You're going to come across those figures again. when
Yep,
we-
yep. And sewer, the refuse is based on all the charges with the refuse. The refuse is really a nonprofit area. We don't want to make money or lose money, so we try to get those rates stable so that we're bringing in as much as we're taking out. You see, there is no prior year resources because our rates are even to what we're paying out, and we'll see
Okay.
that later.
Okay.
So we get three things on your water bill. You got water, sewer, and refuse.
Refuse.
If we go to page 36,
And are you going to back up to 31 and finish the explanation?
do you want to
on
do
it?
the revenue part?
Well,
I
I'd
mean,
like
we
to
can.
I think we should finish the explanation.
Okay. So if you go to page 31, okay, so we've already talked about what we're using for usage. If we look at the water cost, now we're going to focus on the water cost from Detroit. If we just take that one line item of how much Detroit water is estimated to go up from what they're charging us this year to what they'll be charging us next year. Lorenda went to a meeting with DWSD in Ohio, and they provide us with a calculation of the rates.
Right, right. And I have a worksheet that I've used from year to year to calculate what the fixed cost is going to be each month, and also what our rates are going to be. Excuse me. So I have a worksheet that, like I said, I've been using, and the way we figure it, they bill in cubic feet. We convert it over to gallons. They have a fixed monthly cost that they recover. That monthly cost continues to go up. So when I did the calculations, they also readjusted our purchases as well, because they go back like 2 or 3 years and they adjust it, to make sure that it's staying, steady. So if we have a shortfall in purchasing, we have to make that up the next year. So all that's taken in their long form calculation. And so when I went through my worksheet, if you go to, let me see, hold on, I've got page 57, I have a billing history. It goes back to 92. But in the year 2010, they started that fixed monthly charge. By our calculations, the equivalent price that we're purchasing, and that includes your monthly fixed charge, we pay that $4.22, which is about 8.5% over the previous year. Like I said, that monthly fixed cost continues to go up, as you can see in the history.
Right.
I'd like to comment on that for not only for Lenny's sake, but to remind everybody. If you look at that, you see on this page 57 still the fixed monthly charge. See, before the year 2009, there was no fixed monthly charge. It was all based on paying for each
Usage.
cubic feet, every 100 cubic feet of measured water. It was just based on usage. What happened is, all the industry, when we hit the recession, almost depression, so many industries closed up.
Right.
The auto industry's cut back. Consumption in industry in Detroit and Dearborn and other places dropped 30-40%. They still had to sustain the operation of the water system, even though the consumption was less. So they came up with this, we're going to bill you a monthly charge, plus we're going to lower the amount of the consumption, but you're still going to pay this monthly charge. Now look at what's happened. In 2010, it was $10,000 a month, $120,000 a year. The next year, it almost tripled to $28,000. Then it went to $41,000, $43,000, $45,000, $58,000, $62,000, and this year $65,000. So you can see what's happened in the 10-year period or 8-year period. It's gone from $10,000 a month to $65,000 a month. So most of our water bill that we pay to Detroit, or now the Great Lakes Water Authority, based on this minimum charge, the fixed monthly charge, not only consumption. So that way they can pay their debt and their operating costs. Now granted, what was DWSD, since they've gone in with this now called the Great Lakes Water Authority, and the new deal with the Detroit bankruptcy and so forth, where they've separated the system, the Detroit system out of it. Detroit's operating as a retail customer just like we are now. Wholesale operation, they've cut 2,000 employees, what the newspaper says, but they still have these tremendous obligations. So I just wanted to explain that to everybody. So the rate-making issue has really gotten difficult to understand.
Sure.
And it's difficult to compare this
Right.
That's
to other
right.
places
right.
because you don't
Right.
get rate base.
Right.
Man, would you finish 31 and tell us what you're recommending for
Yep.
water?
So if you look at our total, and we'll go through all the cost line items, we're about, like, as I said, about $94,000 short. And simple is, you know what, do we really want to, everyone says we're going to raise the rates, we're going to raise the rates. If you look at this budget, it appears that our rates have gotten in line. Like we're running operations with our rates as they are. I know in the years we've had raised rates really high, and finally I think they're getting at a level that they can stable out. And it's been over the years. I mean, we've gotten to this point with, we know what our operations are, we know our revenue, our usage has pretty much stabled out. So now we kind of know where we're at as far as rates. So the theory behind this one is, if you look at the 16-17, it would be like 1.2 million. Now it's up to 1.3 million. So there's about a $100,000 swing. If we raise rates about 3.3% just on the water side, will cover that cost. And maybe that's a theory. If we, if you get your rates in line, we're going to pass on the cost that Detroit is passing on us. We have developed our rates now that they're in line with our operations and our bond payments and our debt payments. But now we're going to continue to pass along the increase from Detroit. And we're going to say, this is the increase from Detroit from one year to the next. This is what we need to keep going so we don't fall behind the 8 ball again. So that was the theory there. So I would recommend that we raise the rates just for water at 3.3%, which would cover that increase from Detroit. That's just my recommendation, but that makes it balanced. That makes a balanced budget as far as the water.
We go into the budget, we can keep that in the back of our heads.
Yep.
And sewer?
Sewer side, we'll just go somewhere. The sewer side, like I said, we have a lot in fund balance, and those costs in the sewer treatment plant are extraordinary. So when we're saying $298,000, we may be short. I don't feel the need that we need to raise the rates because we have a fund balance, and that's what that's for. It's for maintenance to that plant. So there's no need for us to sit on money. There's no need for us to raise rates. The money's available to make those improvements in the plant, and we'll go over those expenses. The plant is very expensive. One thing costs $30,000-$40,000. So you can see on that side that it's so vulnerable to what is being spent. And now we had Joe give us a list of things over there that need to be taken care of, but that's what that money's for. So there's really no need to start boosting rates if we don't need to on the sewer side. And we'll go over some of the big costs. So we've been over 33, 34. Like I said, I don't want to go over every line item because we'd be here for a while. But the first, like I said, most of these on page 36, these are your standards. Most of it your employee and your health care. Right now, there's currently 6 retired and 5 active.
Yeah.
So it's switched now. We're paying for more retirees than we are active employees. There's some little variances because we had made consistent reallocations of the employees. So it didn't really raise that much. There was nothing going on from one year to the next if you take all 3 together. But we just made some adjustments with the allocations of the employees to make sense. So you'll see that a little bit negative. I know, a little bit negative, a little bit positive.
So for the guys, we'll say,
Yeah.
out of water and sewer, we've divided it. It's like 70-30. For like clerical and myself, we did 40-40-20 out of the funds. 40%, 40%, 20%. Right. So that way the numbers work better that way.
That's why you have an up and down in the various subdivisions.
Yes, and we try to make it consistent.
Trying to follow that. Yeah, I'm going. How can we go down? Because I know these guys are across all 3, but it's also you guys. Okay,
right.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. And that was just
that question Jim asked was in relation to the second item that appears on page 36, where the salaries are going down for full-time, but they're going to go up a similar amount in sewer.
Right.
And it's based on how much time you think people are spending where.
Right, we just needed it more consistent.
Yeah,
So as we go through these pages, Ann, why don't you, at the end of each page, ask
ones.
the commissioners if anybody has a question or comment.
Yep. So the first page, like I said, you come across anything, it's pretty much the same. Nothing really going on the first page unless.
Well, I have a question, and it's either here or at the budget hearing. So I don't want to take up too much of my commission's time. But we have overtime. What are we spending it on? What exactly does that that cover? What is that for? I mean, I know it's for overtime, but
overtime, their call-outs,
Water main breaks.
Okay.
Water main breaks. Somebody's got to bust a pipe. They got to run out and shut the water off so they can make a repair. Stuff like that.
And
deer collision. We have to run out and pick up the deer.
Okay. And like I'm just looking at water right now, but it's staying the same. So
it's a number that works for us. Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And just so everyone's aware, John does work on bike paths and stuff. Those funds get allocated to the other funds. And
Right.
I'll,
And
once
that's
a year,
reimbursed once a
I
year.
reimburse it once a year.
That was
Yep.
another question.
Yeah, nope, we keep
No,
track of all that.
I did, yeah, I started doing that a while ago.
Because I didn't see it. You know, I mean, I can't see
you
it
won't
here.
see it until
But it
Yeah.
actually gets deposited back, so
Okay.
we're good about
I
keeping
make
everyone.
sure.
Page,
Any other questions on that page?
Yes, and the second
ahead.
from the bottom, over on the right-hand side, you have a hash mark DIV.
Oh, that's because her calculation doesn't work out right.
Yeah, the
oh,
formula.
it doesn't, because if you
Yeah,
divide it,
Yeah,
it just doesn't, because I
there's a zero
increased it.
here.
she increased
that
it, so it's not
divided
going to
Divided by
work out.
zero doesn't
Okay.
work.
Divide by zero.
Yeah, that's all.
Quick question.
Excel.
What is
Yes.
the cross connection program?
John, you want to talk about it?
Pardon me?
Backflow prevention.
That's all I need.
Another mandate, yes.
All right, then here's that water, line item 927 is the water. From
She's on
Detroit.
page 37.
37.
927 is our water revenue expenses.
Actually, we'll project a little bit less than budget,
Yep.
what we're going to budget on 17, 18.
Okay.
I got a question on page 37.
Yep.
You have maintenance building, parking lot repairs, $50,000 and other $25,000. What's that?
Other would be if we need to fix the roof, fix the gutters, downspouts, whatever else goes wrong in there. We talked about parking lot improvements. John and I were talking about it. We have a catch basin on the west side that needs to be repaired. If you recall the airport project, they changed the way the trucks ran in and out. So they went back and forth through our parking lot. So I've been on Mike Duker about getting us some money to help make a repair. I don't know how wide it's going to be. They have some calculation on the width of a truck, how it goes. So he's looking into their contract to see how much money was allocated for that. So hopefully I can squeeze them for a little bit more to make some repairs. But on the parking lot itself, we have a lot of cracks. We've got some holes, divots. John, you want to chime in? Chime in? I've said it all. So I took Bill over there yesterday to look at it. I don't want to let it go for too long. Bill and I talked about it, and I thought about reducing this. Maybe we could crack seal the parking lot this year. At least that we can preserve it for another year. And then maybe next year, since our bond payment on the building will be done, this is our last year, we can look at maybe redoing the parking lot. I don't want to let it get to
Yeah,
where
you don't want it to get to the
Yeah.
point where you have to
we
replace everything right
the
down
whole
to
thing, you know. So
Lorenda,
yeah,
if you're talking about crack sealing the parking lot, the outfit that you had that did Dallas Drive, I'll tell you what, that they did an excellent job. None of that stuff is peeled up or expanded and come out, because I walk the dog there every day.
that highway. No, they didn't do it. Oh, okay. I'll have to
Most of those
check with.
people were, and the product that they used, 100%, it works.
I'll have to check with Joe over at Sibley to see who it was.
And what's important about that is the formula. You know, for a long time, I'm convinced that Michigan roads aren't formalized like other states and other areas because they break up too soon. I don't care whether you're downtown, that run downtown, Jim's made it for years. There's a section in there where it's always broken up. They repave it 2 or 3 years later. It's potholes. Sometimes you see 10 cars by the side of the road. So in checking about who did it, the formula that's used, I don't know how the heck you can find it, but that's really a key ingredient. It's like, good cake versus mediocre cake.
Okay.
I don't know if it was the same company that the county used on King Road, but they shut King Road down. I don't remember between what streets. But they went in there and crack sealed that, and it was the same thing that they did on Dallas.
Find out who it was.
So check that out and ask them who did King Road, and because it was really cracked up a lot.
Okay. So that price for the parking lot repairs, though, we're going to reduce it, I think. I think 50 is going to be too much for it.
Well, they should go after Dan's excavating and see some money coming from him if he was a general contractor.
Well, that's why I'm going after Mike Duker.
Okay.
His contractor.
Yeah, you don't go, yeah.
I'll deal with him. It's
I'd like
easier.
to comment on this, too. I went out there yesterday with Lorinda and John, and they know how I feel. I don't feel this 50,000. There is one area by the catch basin that the trucking to the airport did affect, and it looks depressed. A couple of thoughts I had. To me, the public doesn't generally very often go to that parking lot. I've seen a lot worse parking surfaces in public works facilities. And I also noticed that the $25,000 building repairs, the trend figures you gave us, we've been spending around $12,000 a year. So in light of the fact that we're going for a water rate increase, we might be able to. We want to get ourselves in trouble where we don't keep up with the rate increases from Detroit, or we're going to end up some year and say, oh, geez, we got to go 15%.
Right.
But at the same time, I think we can cut a little expenses here. My thought is maybe the 25 is enough and cut the 50 out. If you're uncomfortable with that, maybe we make the 25 30. Assuming that 10,000 or at least you'd be able to do what you want to do in the parking lot, to make some minimal repairs, John, to fix that catch basin area, or do some crack sealing, or surface sealing, whatever you want to do. But I think we can cut at least $40,000. Make that 50, 10,000 or 5,000, or just combine it and say you've got $30,000. I mean, I don't know what the commission wants to do. I don't have the right figure, but I just certainly don't.
You don't
think-
have any cost.
Well, I
don't
certainly it
have a cost,
appears to me that
We can always come up with
Duker
some
owes
more
us
money.
some money.
Yeah, and I can get something out of him, for
Well,
a swatch. However big
He's got
that
a
is,
tight budget,
that
too.
goes the whole
that's, yeah,
length.
we'll deal with that. But,
Refer to Duker, so
Yeah.
everybody out there knows.
oh, Mike Duker is the director of the airport and Commerce Park. But it was their project that ran through our lot and caused some problems, so.
Yeah, and he's aware of that.
Yeah.
He is. So he's going to check into the contract as well. He says he knows there's
And I
money.
know that there was money. I mean, there was. It was stated in the contract about the roads, even. Coming onto from the bridge and all the way to the airport. There was, if they had tore up the roads, that was part of the contract. So certainly, I would think our lot should be in there.
share it with them. So
Yeah.
we need to make sure it
Right.
looks.
Well, somebody's got to make a proposal here. I'll throw one on the table and you can debate it. I say that we take the 75,000 and make it 30. And that's 15 for building improvements or other, you call it, and 15 for the parking lot. That would be,
We'll do it. We'll leave it at 30.
seems to me that's enough money.
Will that work?
And I don't know how, I'll throw it out for discussion. So I'm saying that 75 go down to 30,000.
What?
I don't know how the other commissioners.
Well, I mean, I would 30,000, 25. I guess it doesn't make a lot of difference. But what if we've been doing about 12,000 on the building? Why do we need 25?
Well, I was talking with Mike about the gutters. So there's been some ice damage on them. So we're talking about redoing the downspouts this year. I don't know what that's going to
Okay.
cost.
Okay,
So that's something we're going to share. So I have to put money in the budget. Yeah, he said they're all blown out.
do we have any kind of agreement with him, or is it all verbal?
We have an agreement on our rent.
Enough said.
Okay, enough said. Okay, that's for another
Enough said.
discussion.
But okay, I have no problem with the 30.
Okay.
So the allocation would be 15 for the parking lot, 15 for the building.
Okay.
That's going to be 30,000. Is there further discussion on that?
Well,
Anybody
does that
else?
work for you?
Les?
Bill, I'd like to
Have
say
to
one
work.
thing.
Does that seem palatable?
I have to work.
Okay.
Yeah, it's doable.
Okay.
You know, if we have a major repair, I'll just come back to you guys. That's all.
Yeah, and with
Like for the roof
with
or
the
something
thought
like
that this is,
that,
we're
yeah.
talking about 1 year, next year.
Yeah,
we'll
but
have-
next year, let's do something.
We'll see.
Okay.
Les, you want to say?
Do you remember when we went down to Monroe and we went to their garage where they were chip sealing?
Yes.
Their parking lot, they chip sealed their whole parking lot. And they saved an enormous amount of money by chip sealing that parking lot. We could look at chip sealing that.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Well, sure, and of course, they had the equipment to do it, and they did it
Yeah, they
themselves.
did it themselves, I know. Well, maybe we can,
Yeah.
can you guys
Yeah,
come up
really.
with?
Or, you know, I know that the company I retired from, we had a huge parking lot. We could park 150 cars in the parking lot, and we sealed it. Sealed it with a heavy, and I forget the name of it was heavier than a driveway seal, but it was
That big
filled
thick,
up.
that big thick emulsion.
Yeah, it filled all the cracks, but I do know that there is a depression by the one catch
25 years
basin.
old.
Saw it today, and I think maybe Jim saw it.
I don't think we've ever sealed that parking lot.
Twice and crack sealed it once.
That building's 20 years
when
old,
that
so
fellow
that
left.
parking lot's that old.
Well, I guess if we have a budget of 30,000, and if
Just work
they
with
come
that.
back to us and say,
We'll
we've
work
run
with
into this problem or that problem, we'll find money from someplace
Yeah.
else, we'll make a budget amendment.
Yeah.
That's my thought.
No, that's right.
Everybody agreement with
That's pretty much with a lot of things that we talk about.
with cutting it?
Yep.
Yeah.
That's fine.
So there's unanimous expression.
That's good.
The other question I have is down the very last item, conferences and workshops. Looking at the trends and looking at last year, I know that a number of people are getting training to operate the water system, and you can explain that, Lorinda.
Yeah, I gotta find my
Looked like we
sheet. Oh, here
spent,
it
we've
is.
already in this year spent $6,700 and some dollars.
Yeah, we've got some classes
I'll just finish and you can, but it looks like we just rounded up. And also with
that's what I
sewer.
did, yeah.
I don't think that's what we should be doing. So my recommendation is we cut that off at 7,000. When we get the sewer, I think a $2,000
$1,000 in
figure.
there.
We cut, and I don't think we build anything against that in this year.
Usually I try to bill it 70% on the water side, 30 on the sewer side, on any conference.
We'll take a look at that, but my
Okay.
thought was just
That's the way I
to
do
cut
it.
that to 7,000. It's a small item, but I don't think we can just round up. Throw that out for everybody. My thought is I think we have to make decisions as we go with each page. I'm saying that $8,000 for conference and workshops be 7,000.
So 1,000 each, I mean, the other, and then the next page, or on sewers, there'll be
page? Oh, here it
1,000
is, right
also.
I think so, but
Yeah.
Lorinda, can you, if anybody wants, will you explain some of the training that goes on?
One of the trainings that Barry started, and I went through, and John's been through it, is with the Michigan Public Service Institute. And that is directed strictly for public works. It's character building, it's leadership skills, it's taking somebody from the bottom and making them work up through the system to lead them into a supervisory role one day. It's a 3-year program. It runs about $700 for the class plus lodging on top of that. So it's a 3-year program. John and I have both graduated from it. George is going to his first year, and he'll continue for the next 2. There's also an advanced Public Service Commission or Public Service Institute that John attended last year that he told me I have to go to this year. He says it's remarkable. It runs about the same. These are they're not held in this area. They're held usually in Mount Pleasant or in New Buffalo. So there's traveling expenses as well. If one of us goes, that's $1,000 easily with lodging as well. So along with all of our other trainings that we go through, we have American Public Works Association puts on a lot of training. Everybody goes to them at different times. We also have MIOSHA training where we can send people to safety. Everything costs money. Any testing that we do for our licenses, they charge us for now. So And I take everything out of that budget line item. So I increased it because I went over it last year. So it just made good sense to bump it up. So.
I think it's true. So far this year, you haven't exceeded $7,000 from what I saw in the records. And if that's true, I don't expect you're going to go.
We may not go. I mean, it just depends on our
A
time.
lot of it has to do with the
all that,
scheduling, Bill.
and our
Like,
scheduling,
both of
so.
them will be going first 2 weeks of April.
Yeah.
There's a $2,000 expense right off the.
Yeah, that I had to take out of this budget, and we won't be attending until April in the next budget. So one thing, it just kind of rolls over to the next, year.
Well, I
fiscal
guess,
year.
without having an itemized list of where you're going and each one, what it is to back up the increase in the figures, I mean, that's all I'm looking for. Training is important. There's no
Yes.
question about that. So I don't know how others feel, but staff, if you have an argument against cutting it, I think you round it up. Is what
I did. I rounded it up because I went over.
I think if you want to increase something, you got to bring in the right figures to show us what they are. Somebody ought to have a list of all the things you're going to go to and what the estimated costs are.
Yeah,
I don't
got
need to
them
see
here.
that at this point, but I'm just suggesting cutting it to 7,000.
Along with that.
Yeah, 7385 is what we spent last year. So I could live with 7,000.
Right above that, membership dues are increasing 1,000. Is there anything special?
More people are going. I have an extra person now, George. So it's increasing. So any membership, that's extra.
So he wasn't on?
No, he wasn't on it before. So now
Okay.
he's starting to
Okay.
get into all of those.
All right.
So I just increased it to
All
cover
right.
it.
Main repair.
Oh yeah, let's go back up to that one.
Yeah, 'cause, I mean, that jumped
That jumped
50,000.
50,000 just for stock box repairs only. That's what we're going to budget this year. That's about 25, I think it is. Is it 25 of them we're going to do? I think so. We budgeted last year. We decided to do that. So we got a good price from Campo Brothers on it. So
Okay, so that's our stop boxes.
yeah, that's the 50,000 I
Okay.
put in there. Right.
Okay.
Right.
All right.
Right.
Well, can I ask a question too to John on that? Looks to me like, having been out of town for a while, I came back and every major road you turn on, there's a water main break. How many have you had since 1st of January?
8, 9, let me think, 8, 9, 10. About 11, yeah. We had 27 last year. Seems like January and February are
It's been
hard
mild.
months.
The weather's
Right in
been
the middle
mild.
of Ferry Road,
mild.
within a month.
Yeah, yep.
Ones that are on major roads are difficult to.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else on page 37? 38?
Under capital outlay, the water supply study is our water reliability study. And I talked with Ohio, and it needs to be updated. So I got a price of about $15,000 on that. That's the only thing I have in here for that one. The rest of it's just.
You budgeted 12.
Yeah, but I talked to him today, and he said, no,
Okay.
make it 15. We budgeted 12 last year.
Everybody, a water reliability study is required every 5 years
Yep.
by the state. We have to analyze water pressures throughout the system.
Right.
Continuous testing for a period of time, and then we'll receive a report. That's the last report we did is the one that displayed that on East River and West River, which we're going to replace the water main, we had adequate water for normal supplies, but not for fire protection. So they're measuring the demand for fire flow as well as just consumption. We should be okay, but so you say that should go to 15,000?
Mm-hmm.
Anybody disagree? That's an estimate, of course. Next item is equipment. You're talking about a pickup truck, right?
A pickup truck. I should say pickup truck in there. Did you?
Yep.
Okay.
When it goes to the township board, it should say that.
Yep.
And the other half of the pickup truck will be in the sewer
Right.
fund.
And
And it will replace a 2009 pickup truck that's got 90,000 miles on it right now. It's getting tired. I'm putting money into it right now. We just had, John, was it the shocks? Help me. I'm not a mechanic. What did we just
No,
have done to it?
that was a different truck.
One truck after another. So anyways, it's tired anyways. It's got
Yeah.
90,000 miles on it, so.
And we're just what is it, an F-150 or 250? Or
Just like the one we purchased last year.
no?
No plow, but no plow on it.
Okay, that was my
No.
next
Is it going to be a
question.
regular cab, or is it
Thank
going to
you.
be the super cab?
Whatever the My Deal purchase is, the My Deal deal is, whatever that one's going to be.
Because I
don't
know-
think it had an extra cab on it.
Because I know when I ordered those trucks with no back seat in it, there was an awful lot of storage space in the back of that truck. And I know George, talking to him, he says, man, I wish I had your truck back less. He says, I got this stuff, I have no place to put it. So it's very easy to order a truck with that large cab and no seat in the back. Because Eddie Heineman took the specifications that I drew up, and he got a truck for Water's Edge. Well, the truck was delivered. He gets the truck, he says, well, there's no back seat in it. Well, didn't you read the specifications, dummy? That's the way it was specified.
So you could put your tools and stuff back there?
Yeah,
Yeah, tools, maps.
So it's an extended cab, I assume.
Extended cab, yeah. Okay.
Just without the seat.
So is the 30,000 enough? Now, you're going to bid this, you're going to get it off the state of Michigan bid.
Yeah.
I would
Okay.
think.
That's how we got the last one.
John, is there an adequate amount?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Okay, next are our bonds. Obviously, these are our big payments. You can see that the DPW building matures, so this is our last payment. The Macomb Street water main, that's our last payment for that. And last year's budget, we had budgeted just for East River, and we actually sold the bonds to do East River and West River. However, the project is not done, so you don't see a principal payment. So we're going to pay interest until the project is done. So we got one more year. So the first year was interest only. And that bond was for $6.5 million for both projects.
And hopefully with the retirement of the other two,
Right.
175,000 of principal,
Yep.
that'll be enough to make the payment on the
Yep.
new issue.
You have down here West River and Grow Road water main matures 2019.
Yep.
Okay. That's coming to an end.
Coming up soon. Yeah.
The light at the end of the tunnel.
All right.
So we'll go with water side. Sewer side, so now this is the sewer part of the rates. You can see that, again, first page, there's nothing really going on, wages and stuff. Legal fees, we
Yeah.
are still, that's Pepper Hamilton for the ACO, so we're still hiring him to look at, and it's been on an ongoing basis. So I don't know where we're at with that, but we still have been paying him, so we still budgeted the 50,000. Last year, we budgeted 50,000, and I think we spent, does anyone have that number?
30 some?
All right, she's on it right now.
No, I'm almost there. 13, almost $20,000.
Okay, so that's just a broad guess, but sometimes the bills are just depending on the activity with the attorney, so.
Yeah.
You think we should keep that
hopefully
in?
with
I mean, as
where
far as you
we've-
know?
Yeah, where
Okay.
we're at on that, it shouldn't be that.
Okay.
But that's
good number.
good. We,
Okay.
we have it in there, so we're covered.
Yep. Okay, page 40. Bill, on page 40 is that the maintenance main repair with the repair and cleaning and televising.
Yes.
So we're going to raise that, you had said before, based 200,000?
Yeah, you see, everybody, it's the 932 item, maintenance repair, was 150, recommending that they go to 200,000. Bids we got, and that's a budget figure for now. That we budget someplace 50,000 for these repairs that will come up, so we don't touch that money. So we have to create a new line item, or where's it going to go?
Can't it go right in that same line item?
Repair, cleaning.
You want
I don't
to
think
give it a different number?
Lorinda, I don't think it should. I think I think it should be separately called out. And even if it's a sub-account under 932, maybe you can make it a sub-account.
Oh, that's fine, yep.
Make it like a,
932-1 or something?
What do you want to call that?
Well, it could be maintenance, main repair, and take that main repair off of that 932. We could call 932 could be maintenance. You could have 932-1 would be main repair,
The repair side of it.
Oh,
and then restructure
I
that.
would do repair, cleaning, and
Make
televising.
932
Got it, yep.
the TV programming.
Okay, yep,
Have to redo that.
that's fine. So one's going to be 50,000, the other one's going to be 200,000. Got it.
We've essentially raised the budget $100,000.
Correct.
And I'm assuming that with the fund balance issue, we don't have to, it's not going to affect sewer rates.
Right.
Because some money was coming out that we're going to get to at the treatment plant later.
Right.
Now we're going to just take more out for the treatment plant and less from the annual sewer revenue.
Correct. And we'll see.
To me, that's the big issue on this page.
Right,
Oh,
yep.
conference and workshops
Yep.
is
Well, where's that at? Oh, right
959
there.
in the middle of the
Reduce that
page.
1,000.
Yeah, we got 1,000 there.
Round it up again. Was that going to be $1,000?
Yeah. Yeah, I gotta put my note on the other one, so I don't forget. Oh, and then, see, I got pickup truck there.
Yep.
Take out that Vector.
And then let's just go, the transfer out is the treatment plant. That number will come into a play, but let's go over the treatment plant now. So we're still talking about the sewer revenues.
And Ann, would you explain to Lenny
Yep.
how that works, transfer out?
Right. So what happens is the only revenue we collect is based on that sewer revenue line item.
Okay.
It collects everything, and then the sewer treatment plant we keep separate because we want to make sure we have those reserves to pay for all the maintenance that needs to be done at the sewer plant. There was a bond issue when we took over the sewer plant that we would put money aside when they gave us that bond. So we had a bond, it got paid off, the whole sewer plant is paid off, but we have to keep maintenance up, and in that agreement, covenant was that we were to put money aside to have enough money to
Okay, so you
repair
put
the
that
sewer
like in an
plant.
escrow or something, just
That's
to,
kind of like in the sewer fund, but
Okay.
it still is funded by the sewer revenue.
Okay,
But we just
okay.
keep it all separate in a separate fund, so and the
Okay.
only time we go back and forth is when we need to take that revenue and put it in here.
Okay.
Fund
to
balance
cover
is
the expenses.
approximately,
Yeah, huh?
what's the fund balance approximately?
About $3 million, and it
Wastewater
pretty much
treatment
stays
fund.
at that.
Okay.
Yeah,
If
so
you
we
had a
fund it through
major
them.
disaster there, you could
Right.
spend $1 million pretty easily.
Yeah.
right. So on this side, obviously, you got the operator contract, some other expenses. And then the big thing, obviously, here is the capital outlay. Page 43.
now we gotta jump.
Is that first line, 803, 100, is that Joe's salary?
No, he wishes.
We'll be sitting here tonight.
He was busy in the audience.
So I don't, and then there's that placement reserve that's recorded, that 105 that gets put over to put into this fund. And
Okay.
as far as Joe probably wants to explain all the repairs, he's the one that gave them to us. The capital.
Capital
The
outlays.
capital outlay.
The last page of this section has more detailed descriptions of this stuff.
Oh, yeah.
We need a page,
61 and 62.
Yeah, look at that.
That's right.
the back of your packets, pages 61 and 62.
We had a meeting over a year ago with the engineer and
Yeah, look, at
Bill and Ted.
can't separate these sheets
And-
fast enough. They stick
The
together.
thing was, what was the most critical thing to prevent corrosion to all the electrical systems and everything else in that plant, and that is to improve the HVAC. In the main building is where a lot of critical stuff is. That never got done last year. And it's it's a tough one. I don't have a lot to do with it, and it kind of fell through the cracks last year. That's about all I can say about that. High-speed internet connection. Several meetings. Yeah.
Would you explain a little bit? What are we going to replace or do? We're going
Well,
to
that
put
would
a
be,
new air handling system?
yeah, it would be, going back 10 years ago or more, we had a study done to improve the entire HVAC of the whole plant. All the engineering was done, it was complete, and I don't include the engineering, but basically, from that report, we piecemealed a couple of things, but from that report, what we want to do is, from the engineering thing, is do what it recommended that we do. It went out for bids. Bids came in higher than the engineering estimate. It went out for bids again, and they came back higher than the engineering estimate. And the whole thing just kind of, well, we'll replace it as it fails.
Okay.
Well, you were talking back then about $500,000, right?
Yeah.
Bids came in at $500,000.
Okay. Okay.
And I think the engineering estimate was like 370 or,
Yeah, it was in the 300s.
yeah, something like that.
Since then, we've replaced a lot of things.
We've replaced quite a few
Up
things.
to leading into that 500.
So, okay, so over the years, you just, through maintenance, you've
Well, we've
updated and
replaced
revised.
equipment.
Actual
Okay.
replacing, but parts instead
Okay.
of doing the whole
So the
thing.
whole system, okay.
But you
So we-
still, but the biggest thing is the whole ventilation of that building. And the most expensive piece, the $100,000,
It's for the air makeup system.
yes. Yeah. And it calls for a tempered, thing to bring tempered air down into the primary clarifiers. You haven't been to the plant yet.
Yeah.
The clarifiers.
If I go with you, I may not come back.
Yeah.
Oh, you'll come back.
I heard the tour stinks.
No, but I will come by the next week or so.
Yeah, but just the raw sewage sits in the basement of the building, and the fumes, basically hydrogen sulfide, which is present in sewage, comes up and it just corrodes
It
everything.
corrodes everything, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So to fix that, there's $100,000 to take and treat that air to prevent the corrosion and
Yeah.
having the building fall apart on you.
Yeah. So that's what that's all about. And we're still, the engineers involved in this, and it just isn't moving very fast.
So do we have specifications and a quote for the $100,000, or is that an estimate for a
No,
budget?
it probably needs to be re-engineered because of what we've already done.
Based on what you've done?
So basically, the engineer has failed, and probably through no fault of his own, but gone to a couple of local HVAC companies, and basically they said, well, we're not going to engineer this thing for free, because they were asked for a price, and when they sit there and look at everything, oh, well, we're going to be doing the engineering, and you're asking for free engineering, and then you're going to bid out against our
The repair.
thing. So that's where both of those ended, and I don't know where we're at
So
anymore.
it sounds like they're just what you said, they've ended. They're sitting there.
Yeah.
We'll have to get them, we'll get them going again.
Yeah.
So who does that?
And we'll get this going again,
Yeah,
Okay.
between staff and the engineer.
some direction.
So is there a budget allocated for the engineering portion to separate that from the actual keep, or are you just estimating 100,000?
I just threw 100,000, and that was based on our meeting from over, December of 15,
And
when we
normally
met
this
about
includes
this.
the engineer.
Okay, so,
Yeah, the engineer
so
will.
we have here just a fat pencil to include
Yeah,
assessing what's currently there and doing the improvements as required based on what's already there today?
yes.
Okay.
You know, are these plants unique enough? Process is very similar, I'm sure, but you're in a big organization, corporation is. Are these processes somewhat comparable so that you can look to one of your other plants that's recently either retrofitted or fitted and kind of piggyback or mirror that as to what we really need for both spec equipment and everything?
This is a unique-
capacities.
This is a unique situation because the clarifiers are in the basement of the building. That's rare.
Okay.
That's a Hubble, Roth, and Clark.
Okay.
Because the only place I've ever seen it is here in Rockwood.
Okay.
And if you ask the Heil about Rockwood's, they're even worse. Their corrosion is really severe, and they're looking at
That's
a
enough.
couple million.
That's the answer.
Okay.
So what you're asking is there a template out there for this stuff based on benchmarking other facilities?
Yeah.
Yeah, I
And
don't.
apparently there isn't.
Yeah, none that I know of. I'm not familiar with
Okay, that's the
any
answer. then.
familiars or any facilities like ours.
Okay.
High-speed internet was kind of was hinted around a couple meetings ago that, SCADA, we should look at SCADA, which is something that's been I throw in the capital improvement plans and it gets backed off. We don't want to spend that kind of money. The situation's changed now where you can basically rent the stuff and you don't have the capital expense. But to do that, you need a high-speed internet connection.
Yeah, you need connectivity.
And we do not have it. There is no cuts in the cable by where the cable runs in front of the plant. And last time I got an estimate from Comcast, and this was probably 4 or 5 years ago, $10,000 just to cut the line and
Cut it.
come in.
Yeah,
So,
you got to cut it and put a junction box there and tap off of it.
Yeah. So
Has anybody looked at satellite dishes?
I haven't. I'm not so sure the reliability of them.
It's just a question. I know they came a long way.
I know some people out where I live, we don't have cable, and a lot of people do have satellite. And it's,
Well, I just look at all the gas stations, and all the gas stations, all their transactions are fed through a satellite dish on the roof of the gas station. So the credit card, cash register, inventory management, like whether it's 7-Eleven or Marathon or those locations, it's all centralized inventory. And every time you swipe something, it gets replenished the next day, and all that's fed off a satellite off the roof.
but how much data is actually,
I don't know. I don't know what the bandwidth
that I
is.
think's a lower data, because I have DSL at the plant, which is fine for
That was fun in the 70s.
yeah. It's fine for some stuff, but we're moving to now where
You got a bunch of data. It was
Office
just-
365,
Yeah.
and it takes 5 minutes for a file to load on my computer now.
Yeah.
And that's a good question to look at, Joe, as you talk to people about this. I think that Lenny needs to know what SCADA is. Do you know? It allows remote monitoring
Remote monitoring.
of flows for both the water system and sewer system. Pump malfunctions, it'll tell you that. It'll
Right,
be able
in
from
real
remote
time.
locations, be
Yeah.
able to see what's going on. Because we
Yeah.
don't man the station.
So you've got the plant basically in an iPad. It puts the plant operations into an iPad from a monitoring standpoint.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah,
more
it
than
might
that,
be a
because
little
there's
more,
Yeah, but he simplified it.
Alarms that go off and other.
Right, and all that's wired.
and it's all wired. We did the electrical system in 2004,
Okay,
and we had it all wired so that we could hook up SCADA at the ends of these things.
okay,
So
okay.
I think and then Kennedy Industries, and we'll bring them in here. They're willing to do a pitch on the systems now that you basically rent.
Okay.
You avoid that initial large capital cost. So that's what we're looking at. But I just threw the 15,000 was kind of a.
That doesn't,
took
that
my-
doesn't
It's
seem
It's a
to be
budget
out
figure.
of-
It's a
out of
budget,
range.
capital budget figure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And as I found, and these guys know, my capital budget estimates sometimes run on the low side. So
Okay, no, fair enough.
Raw Sewage Pump 3, that's been in service since 1966, and it's basically failed. The inside's so worn out that I can't hold the packing to prevent sewage from spraying all over the place in it anymore. It needs to be replaced, and these are kind of in order of priority, but that's an easy one. That one I can call and order the pump and get it in. And this is actually a pretty good number.
Well, you got 50 years out of that pump.
Yeah. I'm not talking
pretty
about the
good.
motor. The motor's
Right.
still going to stay the same.
Yeah.
But the pump itself, we can't hold the packing in that anymore.
Well, you know, Joe, you've brought issues before the last 3-4 years, every year almost, where you've had almost an emergency situation.
Right.
Is that what this is?
No, we cannot. We're operating it right now, but it's not a healthy environment.
Well, it's something that if put it in there and we do it this year, that'll be fine. It doesn't have to be done today, but it needs to be done.
Yeah.
I'd say I'm in favor of this, and if we approve everything tonight, you should get moving on it.
Oh, yeah, because the bill will
When it
probably
can be
come, the bill
replaced.
would come due
Sure.
after April, but
Fiscal
yeah.
year begins April 1, maybe
Yeah.
you can get it replaced in April.
Yep.
Think we'll get another 50 years out of it?
Probably not.
I don't know.
Not the new
They
stuff
don't make
made
them like
today.
they used to.
Yeah. Is this the pump that's in the bottom of the wet well?
In the dry well. You know, when you go down the elevator to the bottom, it's one of the pumps. Well, all 4 main sewage pumps are down there. But it's one of those. Lift station pumps. We have 5 lift stations, 2 pumps apiece. So the oldest ones now are over 20 years old. I'd like to purchase 2 more, so when next time we have a failure, we don't have any on the shelf anymore.
Yeah, that was my question. Do you keep any of this stuff on the
Yes.
shelf in case
But
there's an
the shelves are
emergency?
empty, and I'm trying to restock them.
Okay, okay.
Okay. These kind of pumps, the lift station pumps, are almost disposable pumps these days. If enough goes wrong, if the failure is great enough, it costs more to repair it than to replace it. So, backup sludge pump. We have to transfer our sludge that after we process it for where it can be applied to farm fields, from the processing tank to the storage tank, we have just one pump. It's a grinder style submersible pump. If something goes wrong with that pump, since we put this one in, we had to dig out, because we did have a spare pump that we could use, actually a lift station pump. We could drop in there, run it off a generator, and it would get us by till we got our new pump in or whatever we had to do. I'm just asking that we get another pump on the shelf. So
Fair enough.
we got something to go, and then something happens, we can send this one out to get repaired, and we
Yeah,
have the
'cause-
other one to drop in.
They're probably not at the local Home Depot or other locations. You can run and grab one real quick.
No.
Yeah,
No, they're
understood.
usually 6 weeks
Yeah,
delivery.
and it's, so right, yeah, you're running on borrowed time right now.
Yeah, we're pretty innovative. We can move, we can move poop if we have to, but it's just not easy.
Sure.
Joe?
The lift station pumps, how many are you talking for that 9,500?
Okay, raw sewage pump number 1. We got 2 options here. It's due for a rebuild, a shop rebuild. That'll be about $9,500 or so. But the ACO, we're looking at upgrading the plant firm capacity from 6.1 million gallons a day to 7.1 million gallons a day. The easiest way to do it would be to upsize raw sewage pump number 1. So I just put it in here as because it's going to come down one way or another, probably that we're going to upgrade the plant to 7.1. Do we want to spend $9,500 for a shop upgrade and then in 3 years or whatever schedule that MDEQ gives us, turn around and upgrade it then? Or do we just want to upgrade it now? And we can do it out of the equipment replacement fund that won't impact, possible bonds and stuff if we, when we do the whole clarifier, the whole project. So that's what this is. And there's a big explanation of what I just kind of said there. So that, I guess I'm looking for however you want to budget this.
Sure, sure.
It just seems,
But we looked at it. I had our mechanical guy look at it, and we have enough room to drop in the same as we have number 2 pump, which was replaced last year. Yeah, 2 years, a year and a half ago, to put in another exact same style pump, same size. There's enough
Okay.
room to drop it in there.
Okay.
A little bit of piping changes and stuff, and I included that in the cost here too. Equipment condition assessment for asset management. That is, again, part of the, well, it's actually part of our permit. It's not the ACO. That will be coming down the pike sometime after September. We will have to do this, have this work performed. There are companies, including ours, that do it, but you have mechanical people come in and they, with their specialized equipment, do the detailed life estimate of the equipment.
Right.
The criticality analysis, probability of
utilized,
failure, all that kind of.
Predictor fail analysis and
Yeah.
everything else.
Yeah. So that's all part of that. That is being driven by the permit. That is why this is in here.
Okay.
That's the part of the issue I said we're going to have a study session on,
Right.
what that would include. And I think the other key to that is what they're trying to have you do, my recollection is once you identify in an asset management or capital improvement plan what your needs are,
Right.
you're going to be committed to making those improvements in certain years. Now, fortunately, we've been spending, like I said, $300,000 to $400,000 a year making improvements. And hopefully we can continue that. That should
This'll
be our,
just give you-
that should be our goal.
Yeah, this will give you a real base
Right.
to base it on.
Right.
But we have to be careful.
But we have to be careful. But also, when they mention the ACO, part of the asset management, and that is also in the permit, is the collection system.
Joe, I had a question just on the plant, I guess, in general. So when the plant was engineered, Wayne County was really controlling the show at that time before you guys got involved in it as our independent contractors. It was claimed that there was a plant engineering that took place to the tune of a population of 20,000, and that would take care of Grosse Ile way out into the future, farther than most people alive at the time could envision. Well, we know the population on Grosse Ile, pretty much 10,000, say 1960, 1970, 1980, might vary by like 500 people. Is the reason why we need to what appears to be increase our productivity or processing capability because the standards have changed? What is the reason?
The reason is we have a very wet system.
Okay.
And the OHM study determined that it was coming from footing drains in a lot of the older sections of the island. It's cost prohibitive. This is a less
So it's not
cost.
really the standards changing, it's the fact that productivity has to be maintained at a certain level.
We haven't stopped discharging to the river.
Not the population.
No, population.
So you won't save water and sewer rates or sewer rates if you hold the population at 10,000 or 10,005. There's no cost savings there. Okay.
The issue is the design flow of 2.25 is based on 17,500 people. Unfortunately, because the system's so wet, we're at that design flow during dry weather.
Okay.
You bring in the wet weather.
So that's from day one when the plant was constructed.
Pretty much, yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
I guess it was worse
That's the answer.
before my time.
The other
Seems like
element,
it would be.
the other
It had to
element,
be worse.
the other thing is when we do the TV inspection, I know this changes from, do the TV inspection, we'll see where we have cracks in the system affected, or where we have problems with our manholes, where we're taking on excess water besides the footing drains. Hopefully, we can make repairs to eliminate some of that flow, especially storm flow, that causes these surges at the plant.
And I think I sent you, you got a copy of the
Yes.
monthly report. The fourth chart in the front section, I have 4 graphs.
Right.
And you can see how much water we buy from Great Lakes
Right.
and how much sewage we treat. And you can see the line, we treat a lot of water from the ground
Right.
through that plant.
Stormwater, yeah.
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 Groundwater, and I mean, even during dry periods, real dry periods, we treat more water than we buy from
Sure.
Great Lakes.
Yeah, and that's all the rainwater.
Okay, Joe, so
Stormwater.
this item number 7 is what we're going to end up with a study session, okay?
Yep.
Number 8.
Number 8, intermediate lift pump upgrade. Kind of falls in the same category. We have to upgrade the firm capacity of the plant, and that's the pumping capacity with the largest pump out of service.
Okay.
Right now, we have 2 6.1 MGD plants, or pumps, to treat our to move all the water from primary to secondary treatment.
Okay.
They'll need to be upgraded to 7.1 MGD. Either each or, and this would probably save a lot of money in the long term, is going by 3 submersible pumps. They're smaller, but with 1 out of service, we can still meet that 7.1 plus.
Okay. Okay.
And by saving money, I mean, with the submersible pumps, we can have like we have in the influent end, where 2 of the pumps are variable frequency drive. So based on the level coming in,
Okay.
the motor can ramp down and use a lot of electricity, and actually the township pays the electricity direct. So
Okay. Okay.
that would be a direct savings to the township.
Okay.
So that one would involve some engineering, just to determine, exactly what's size if you do opt to go the submersible pumps. And if we had to upgrade the screw pumps, that would be a pretty big job too, because the troughs would have to be removed and replaced with something bigger and bigger screws. So that's coming up, and that's why I recommend that, again, if we do it now on the capital improvements, that keeps the costs away from the eventual ACO costs that we're going to get when we put in that final clarifier.
Joe, I have a question.
Yes.
Of the 8 items for capital you've got listed, 5 of them are pumps. I know they're not all the same pumps, and I don't know how many suppliers will supply these various pumps. And I don't know if you can bid item number 8 along with some of the other pumps.
Item number 8, that would be the one that would be most out for bid, because that's wide open to have that. We don't need to go back to an original supplier like the pump, raw sewage pump 3, influent pump 3. We want the same pump in there because we want it to fit.
Right.
And that quote is actually in Kennedy Industries as the supplier. It's Alice Chalmers, whoever bought them out now.
Okay, my question to you on these pumps, they all seem to me to be critical. And I know that your time operating a plant, you don't have a lot of time to bring people together, put specs together, and so forth. So we need to rely on our engineers. I would like to ask, how are you going to move forward? I mean, to me, the fiscal year starts in April, and I don't know where the commission feels, but maybe we should all indicate how we feel about this. But I think we should move forward with all these improvements. How others feel, maybe that's a discussion. But if we do move forward with all these pumps, I'd like you to figure out a way that you can move forward with them quick. I mean, I don't want to be sitting here next August or October and you're still worried about replacing pumps. I mean,
Now, the biggest one, the one that might, if not happen this year because it might require so much work, is the last one, the intermediate lift pumps.
Because of what has to go into it, I mean.
Yeah, that's the biggest
So
job.
we really need to get going on it.
Yeah, but that one's gonna, that one we're gonna go to Sahil. They'll probably have to subcontract out the engineering on that because they don't have hydraulic engineers on staff. So they'll probably since we're subbing with OHM now, we'll probably just use them.
Okay.
well, my point is if we approve all this, and we're going to discuss whether we're going to approve it right now, I would like to see you bring whatever resources you need for help to get this moving. I mean, a lot of these improvements year to year,
it's easy, though.
Well, all right.
The pumps are easy. Other than the last one, the other pumps are the flight pumps. We're going to, again, this
all right.
Single supplier.
Plug and play.
Well, and you want to put them on the shelf.
Yeah.
Some
those
are on the
things.
shelf, that's not.
But it's still plug and play. It's we're replacing in kind with the same equipment.
Right. Right.
Well, no, and I agree with Bill. I mean, we don't want to fool around, and there'd be, certainly, if we say go ahead with this budget, it's not going to change that much through the board. And you could start looking at this, getting ready for this stuff. You're not going to have anything before April 1st.
I could, verbalize with, Kenny to get rolling, but I would need a purchase order to actually get the order.
Well, sure.
So just to
But
do
we
a
could
straw
have this
poll.
stuff ready to go on April
Oh, I like
1st.
everything on the sheets.
Yeah.
Joe's
Just to
2
do a
pages.
straw poll, how many of us would favor moving
yeah,
forward with this
which-
capital improvement program at the wastewater plant?
Here.
Here,
As explained
Like he needs a PO.
on these 2 pages.
Les or Phil, do you
Yeah.
you support this?
Everybody, I
or-
think we're
That's
all.
why you need to come and talk
Yes,
to
I
us
support
when
it.
it's-
Let's get moving.
So Jim,
Mr. Bundy?
we're asking for a straw poll. So far, all 5 of us have supported this capital plan.
Okay, then I won't.
All right, so you got an indication, we're going to
You're
make a
walking home.
motion tonight for all the budgets,
Yes.
Okay.
but what I'm saying is, some of these things in the past have strung out throughout the whole fiscal year, and then we get it done in December. Some of the pumps, to me, sound more critical. We need to move on them.
Yeah.
You need help to get them moving. You have
The
to let
pumps,
us.
other than the last one, I think the pumps are
All right.
a single supplier.
Yeah, single source,
You know.
so.
Okay, where do you
That's
want to,
gonna be
okay,
easy.
Joe, thank you for the explanation.
Yeah,
Ann,
thank you, Joe.
Where do you want to go back to?
Page.
Refuse?
Yeah, 41, was it 41?
What page is that?
Yeah, I thought it was 41.
41,
41 refuse.
yeah.
Again, nothing here, just the contract prices. Lorenda might want to talk about the 517
Thank you.
contract prices.
Oh, you're way down there, okay.
Yep.
We're in our last year with waste management for services, so we have to start thinking about what we're going to do if we're going to go out. I actually have a meeting with Brian Conaway tomorrow to discuss, he's got another proposal he wants to bring forward, so that might be coming forward to you guys in March to review. Possibly a contract extension. I don't know what it's going to entail, so.
Thank you, Joe.
Well,
Thanks, Joe.
Thanks, Joe.
Good night, Joe. Before we, with waste management, it's been a number of years since we bid it, right? 6 years?
Well, it was a 5-year contract, so,
Five-year
yeah.
contract?
And what
Yeah.
month is it up?
It's up in November.
Okay.
So my own thinking is there's been a lot of change in costs for refuse. We pay separately for our disposal at the landfill, and fuel is a big issue. Fuel's been cheap. I don't know what his proposal is going to be. It might, I had the feeling that some of what I've read about over the past year, that they've been, some of the major haulers, not just, have been out trying to extend contracts by lowering prices and so forth so that wouldn't bid it. I retired from a firm located in Livonia, and 2 years ago, Livonia went through this. They saved over $300,000 a year by bidding it, and I think whoever the hauler was wanted to extend the contract. They went out and bid it and saved $300,000 a year. Well, that's a lot of money. It's 100,000 people, though. So,
Right.
But so at any rate, service has been great. We have to consider that. But if we were going to make a decision on extending a contract, one thing we'd have to see if they come in with a proposal is what are other communities in our area paying? Per stop, per household. We have to measure it some way.
And then it's broken out a little bit, I think, commercial stops or something, whatever it is.
But we don't pick up commercial.
We don't pick up commercial, yeah.
There was something, little stuff, picking up someone's garbage can from in their garage. There's
Yeah.
little stuff
Hand
like
stops, we
that.
call those, yeah. Yeah.
All right, so
Give a
you
select
bring us
few.
information. The other issue that we talked about is you were going to bring a report back in the
From the
future
river, yeah,
from the landfill.
right.
You want to update us on that?
Sure, I'll go ahead and update that. Actually, John Manna emailed me before the meeting, and I printed off, I haven't had a chance to read it, but the proposal is, there's two options in this one for, to use the landfill. One is going to be a 5-year option, one is going to be a 7-year option. Obviously, when you go 7 years, you're going to have a greater savings. We've been very loyal to Riverview Landfill. I've been approached by other waste haulers to use their landfills. I have talked to them. They haven't given me any prices or anything, but like I said, I told John I would bring his proposal in front of the commission. So I do have it. Unfortunately, it wasn't in time for the packets, so look forward to it next month.
Okay.
And you'll see it.
Yeah, good.
Jim, I'd like to
Any
give you a
questions on
copy of it
refuse?
at a time.
Oh, absolutely.
So,
Where next, Dan?
I think we're good. So, any more questions on water, sewer, refuse? So the plan is to keep sewer rates as is, and just that if everyone agrees to make the balanced budget by probably with the reductions we did by about that 3% increase.
Okay, so now let's go to page 44, roads.
Nope, in the new roads.
we don't have any money.
Roads, we basically, on this one, you'll have a property tax collection of $235 after everything was spent, and we have a cash balance at the end of March of approximately $25,000 left over. That include all the sectioning and with the Wayne County, with the grant match, with all that completion, there's about $25,000 left in the bank and you'll get the current collection. The only thing that we take out routine is the dust control, obviously snow plowing, which changes depending on the next year. It should be nothing, right? We didn't have any snow this year. It's based on the previous year, so I'm
Previous
assuming
year.
it's $5 or
It should be
maybe.
lower.
Winter's not over yet.
That's true.
I know. You jinxed
Thanks,
us.
Bill.
And then the grounds and maintenance. So the difference between the 261 and 115 is just going to be sitting there as a reserve for capital improvement. Nothing's really scheduled to be done with that. right now. Probably some crack sealing or whatever.
Yeah, we might be able to do some crack sealing. Yeah.
Well, Ann, I guess the question I have is we list the cost for, I mean, we have what is from this listing here, I don't really like the way you put this together.
Oh, we didn't do anything with it. She just put the site
No,
thing.
that was just my-
I was waiting for you guys to
Like
see
to
what
know how
kind of
much money
projects you want.
what we have to figure is the tax collection, which is in December.
Mm-hmm.
Not now, but in December, right?
Money's money. I mean, it doesn't
Well-
matter. For the budget, don't confuse people. It is there, available.
235,000.
Will be available. Right, we're working on a budget.
April 1st?
Yes, I mean,
The cash in the bank, April 1st, is only going to be 25,000.
right, but if you guys want to project something in the spring, you can obviously borrow it. We know it's
We're going to
coming.
borrow it from other funds and then
Right,
replace
right,
it.
yeah,
When
so
it-
that,
yeah,
don't-
when-
timing is not of importance. The importance is, here's the money you have available. What would you like to do with that money?
So what you're showing is that we have 261 at the bottom, which it says total item. We have revenues of 261,000.
Correct,
So far, we have expenses of 115.
correct. And the rest we just
There's
keep
about
reserved.
$145,000 difference.
That we just keep in reserve for whatever schedule of projects that you guys choose to do.
If we wanted to do any road repairs this year, we have $145,000.
Correct.
I wish that you could reconsider how you put this sheet together.
Oh, I would. We didn't even touch it.
All right.
The packets went out before we even
All right.
discussed it. So,
You talk about grounds maintenance. Couldn't we call that roadside maintenance? Isn't that what it is? It's not grounds.
Yeah, we call it roadside.
I mean, I
Yeah, roadside, yeah,
It's always,
that'd be,
it's always been
need
called
to be
grounds.
more
yeah,
explanatory.
because
Oh, roadside? Okay.
actually looking at it, you think of like mowing around our building,
Oh,
not
no.
on
Oh, yeah.
the roads.
Roadside maintenance.
Extra litter pickup.
I guess you can take the mowing off.
Because, yeah, you can't count on them.
Roadside
Roadside
maintenance.
All right, well, now we've torn you all up on that, so
Tell me what you want.
look for something more.
next.
What I'm trying to do, Ann, is that I think, I'd like to see it come back to us too, but we need to know how much money we can spend for capital outlay.
Oh, sure, yeah, no. The original,
Could call it available for capital outlay.
that's what, reserve
Yeah,
for capital
reserve for
improvement.
capital
I just-
improvement.
Available
yeah.
or whatever.
Yeah.
It'll be all pretty. It was just because
All right,
we didn't even discuss
This is
it
just a
before it got
draft.
in the packet.
Now, on that issue, what I want to propose to the commission, last year we didn't drive the roads in April. Last year we didn't drive the roads in April because we already had that $500,000 program from the prior year carryover from Wayne County. So what I would like to suggest is that we should do sometime April or May, coming out of the winter, see how bad our roads are. Had a couple of complaints this past week. And two things. I would like to assess if there's anything we should do. I mean, I went into the thinking about next year that we're not going to have any money. A lot of money the last 2 years. Spent $1 million the last 2 years.
Right.
That we're not going to have any money. So we have $140,000. Some of it we want to spend on something. I know there's a lot of potholes everywhere. We can't fill potholes. We also know that the county's road revenues have increased, are going to this year. They're going to increase this year. With the new gas tax jump and with the
Right.
with the registration or the driver's license fees and other
Right.
fees.
Right.
So their revenues should jump several $1 million, and I don't know exactly how much. Remember when we had that discussion? So hopefully they'll have more resources to do some more maintenance, not capital improvements. And then sometime this summer, I've had a couple of calls where people have said, what are you going to do about fixing the roads?
Right.
And we need to, at some point, have a study session and talk about that. The next election is governor's election, November of 2018. 2018.
Right.
It's a long ways off. So we got stung on our last bond proposal. If we're going to do anything, we can't rely, we know, my opinion is we can't rely on Wayne County. Competing against Brownstown Township and Canton Township, and I know that I spent several hours over in Canton Township this year. Because of our experience, one of my friends knows we went through this, so I met with a bunch of people in Canton Township 3 times this summer. Talked to them about their frustrations, and when I drove down some of their roads, I said, oh, looks just like Grosse Hill. Looks like Manchester, looks like Park Lane, looks like Grays Drive. All their concrete was falling apart. The only thing is they have 10 times the problems we have. And they're encouraging their township board to come up with something where they can raise more money, some money, to fix roads and not just rely on the county. The county's not going in the neighborhoods, okay? Except to patch, holes. So at any rate, at some point this summer, we need to begin discussions on how we're going to proceed in the future. I think it would be irresponsible to look at that election in 2018 and not want to put something out there to the voters. And surely it will be less than what we put out before.
Right, you look at our last package, and we've taken care of a good part of that package with the East Water Main and now the West River next year.
The water portions of
right.
It, not the road portions.
Not the road portions, but the overall package to the people in the millage, is much less because of having that done. So,
Right.
Yeah, we definitely have to come up with something and go out. Because the roads aren't going to get any better. And I agree with Bill that we may see some help from this new administration at Wayne County, but not to the tune of what we need. So we have to be proactive on this.
And just hypothetically, if we had 1 mill raises $600,000, resurface a mile of road is $600,000 to completely rebuild it.
And that's why the chip sealing is so important.
Well, and that meant, a lot of people speculated negatively about that.
Well, yeah.
But some of the roads, John, you can't chip seal anymore. There's at least 3 miles of Meridian. There's 3 miles of East River Road.
East River.
Probably
East
4
River's
miles
a
of East
problem.
River Road. That's 7 miles, and then you have Church Road and Ferry Road,
Right.
Bellevue, that are in very bad shape.
Right.
So you could easily identify 10 miles of roads, and if we got a mill to do them, so if we got something approved in 2018, by 2028, we'd have those 10 miles done.
That's yeah.
Good
Yeah.
outlook.
That's not good math.
So at any rate, that's a future discussion. I just wanted
Yep. We do need to bring it up.
Yeah.
to. Now we're on to page 45, drainage. Last page of the budget, Ann.
All right. Drainage, there is a little over $1 million sitting in the bank. Property taxes will bring in $194,000. There are some projects that were left over from last year.
Cheshire Court.
Yep, the separator, then, the drainage grant program is still doing well and going. We probably did 44,000 already this year in the grant program, so that's good. People are using it. The difference of about $900,000 is just sitting in reserve.
Lorinda, could you go through those things for Lenny? What the oil separator, which is going to show up every year.
It shows up every year.
And
It's on the airport property, and they, to tell you the truth, I don't know exactly what they do to it, but we budget every year. I don't. Phil, do you know?
It's a drain over there.
The drain,
where
yeah.
It takes and separates the,
The oils from the waters,
yeah, and that's
and it's just maintenance. It's out there, yeah.
Over here.
Yeah, it's over there.
Over here in
The
field.
Groseal drain maintenance, that's the Groseal drain, and we do a lot of tree removal in there. The road ditch enclosures, relocation for road improvements, that was when we were deciding whether or not to do Church Road. Remember we talked about enclosing the ditches there? and putting in a new water main and stuff. So that's what that was allocated for. It's just a line item that we keep carrying over.
Someday we'll get to it, hopefully.
Someday. And same thing with West River at Horse Mill. There's a drainage problem there as well. That was an estimate.
Yeah.
Cheshire Court, if you remember, that was approved last year. The bidder came in at, I think it was $48,000. So, but that didn't include this budget figure here, $50,000. I don't think that included our engineering charges on that. So,
And that was something that carried over.
That's just carried over,
and
yeah,
are we
because
still
of the
a go
weather.
on? Are we?
Yes, for
well,
spring.
Yeah,
spring. So,
Okay.
Drainage grant program, that's been going on. I've been doing that since, I think, 2008 was the first year. Yeah, I think it was 2008. Last year, we had about a dozen homeowners that came in. And that's about it.
The question is there any main drain issues that are happening? I mean, that's $1 million sitting in the bank. I mean, do we foresee using that in the near future?
Yes.
Yep.
I think, I don't have a figure yet, but West River Road, when
West
we build the
River, yeah.
water main, there's going to be some, I'm going to guess, a couple $100,000 that's going to be spent there. Try to drain the water from the east side of West River, where the water main's going to go in. I don't have a figure yet. So with this budget, we would always just go back and amend it with projects.
Sure, no. Just the concern of $1 million sitting there.
So
and we
this is going to go to the township board. What I'd suggest is that where you have that road enclosure, 150,000, why don't we just call that drain improvements? I mean, we don't know what it is yet. I mean, it's money available for drain improvements that we're going to identify as the year goes forward. Use that 150 for that. It's not for Church Road because we don't have any plan for Church Road.
Right, but that's what it was.
That's
what it was
just a
there.
thought. It's not dedicated to
Right.
that. It's not, that's just where that came from, but
Yep.
we can use it anywhere.
Drain
Yeah.
improvements.
We could just call it drain improvements general or something of that
Sure.
sort. And that'd be 150,000.
Yep.
That'd give us some money to work with. And again, if we come up with a drain issue that we
Right.
have to go forward with, budget. The one, John, can you help me remember the names of the streets? North end of the island?
Wood, O'Donnell, is it that one?
Correct.
Yeah.
But it wasn't O'Donnell Street, it was called something else. Is that O'Donnell?
Yeah, it's O'Donnell, yeah.
Wood,
Wood, is it Wood Drive? I can't remember. Wood Drive?
There's another road too.
Woodcrest.
Woodcrest, that's it.
Woodcrest, yeah,
Thank you.
Woodcrest. Thanks, Les. Or Phil. Woodcrest it was. And, we haven't proceeded on that because learned that the north side of Woodcrest has the same problem as the south side. We were talking about $160,000 to solve rear yard drainage. And if we had to double that amount of money, it would. It's a lot of money anyway, so we didn't proceed with that.
Okay.
So at any rate, any questions on drains? Leave it as it is. Always go back and amend it. Okay,
Any questions?
is that it on budgets?
That's
I
it.
think so.
So what our goal is to make an advisory recommendation to the township board on these budgets with the amendments we've made. And including at this point, going forward with are we talking about a 3% or 3.3%?
I think we can.
3.3.
Yeah.
So just 3 because we've cut some money out of
Right,
the water
yeah,
budget.
3 would be, I mean, if you want a round, nice number.
I don't know, we don't have a resolution in front of us from you, do we?
Yeah, well, it's
Just like
yeah.
we did last year. It's
So-
just a recommending the rough
What
draft.
page is it?
First page 30.
30.
Yep.
30.
Motion to recommend approval.
Here, here's what I'm here for.
You got it?
Yeah, that was at page 30. That was on top of the budget, so.
Yeah, I guess I've lost it in my pile.
No, grab that one.
30.
Okay, so the motion is to recommend approval of the rough draft operating budgets pending minor variations as determined by the board. So we've made the several changes, and you've noted those changes.
Yep.
We're assuming that they'll go forward with the changes we've all agreed on?
Yep.
Right, so can I have a motion to recommend approval of the rough draft operating budgets? It should be operating and capital budgets.
Operating and capital, okay.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you.
It's been moved and supported. That all of
Yes, sir.
that the budgets that we've reviewed and all the changes we've suggested tonight be included in the budget that would go forward from DPS to the Township Board. Any further discussion? If we're all,
I have one. When would this go in front of the board?
We have
When our
budget
budgets-
review on
Thursday.
Thursday, well, Wednesdays and Thursday.
In March, the
It'll be in
budget
March,
will
yeah.
formally.
Yeah, it has to be adopted by the
Which
annual
will be all
meeting.
the budgets.
All the
at one
budgets,
time.
and that's
Yep.
in March?
That's in
Yeah.
March.
Okay.
Because the fiscal year is what, April,
April 1st.
starts April 1st.
Starts
new
April.
one.
and actually, they spend several hours going through the
Going
police
through it.
department, fire budget,
Right.
DPS budgets, and so forth, right?
Are you on Thursday too?
Yeah.
Yeah, so all day Thursday, I got budget.
Any further questions? If not, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So the budget, motion's approved. We recommended some budgets. Thank you, Ann, for all your help tonight.
Thanks, Ann.
Thank you.
And
No.
Yeah, go.
I guess,
You're in deep now.
Run.
I guess that concludes our discussions for the night. Let's see. The manager's report, you don't have anything?
Nope, the only other thing I have to add is that Wayne County is going to be hosting their first household hazardous waste collection this year on Saturday, April 22nd. And it's going to be at the Romulus Civic Center. I'll have these posted. They're already posted on the webpage, so just to let everybody know. But all that information's on the webpage. Please, it's open to Wayne County residents only, and it's for free. So clean out your junk and take it there. This one's going to be at Romulus Civic Center. It's in their parking lot on Wayne Road.
What is it, household hazardous waste?
Yep. The county puts these on 4 times a year, and we participate in them as well. And that's all I have.
Are there any discussion items? Chairman has no report. Talked enough. The commissioners' reports will go around the room. Mr. Budney.
I have nothing more other than to say that I, again, will miss our friend Ron.
Lenny?
I agree with what Jim just said.
John?
I do also, nothing further.
Bill?
Last month or December, I told you I would try and get a hold of somebody up in Grosse Pointe Farms about their water treatment plant. I did that. I got a hold of Scott Ominga, who was from Wyandotte, who's now running that water treatment plant up there. He sent me an email back on some stuff, but I think he sent me the wrong stuff because that plant, they got a grant to build that water treatment plant. He sent me the history of the whole thing up there. But I got to get a hold of, I guess he tried to get a hold of me through Tim O'Donnell. Yeah. And I talked to Tim, and I haven't gotten back with Scott. I tried to get a hold of him today. I couldn't get a hold of him. So I will continue to do that. Also, I got this in the mail today, and maybe you might be interested in this, Bill. It's from the American Water Works Association. This is developing rates. Pass that down to Bill. Otherwise than that, that's all I have.
Okay, well, I'll hang on to this. Thanks, Les.
We had a copy of that before, but the treasurer who we had on the commission, which was Tim Walker, he took that book and he never gave it back. So I don't know what he ever did with it.
Okay. Thank you. So that's the commissioners' reports. Our next meeting is scheduled for March 14th, and Lorinda will put an agenda together. So with that, There's no further business. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move that we, okay, go ahead, Les.
I make a motion that we adjourn our commission meeting at 9:18.
Support.
Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Meeting's adjourned. Thank you.